I'm Daemonxel, and it's time for your Eve Echoes weekly news update. Now, a lot has happened since last week, and we're going to dive into it all, but first, if you can do me the favor and tagging that subscribe button and ringing that bell, then you can stay up to date with everything that this channel has to offer. Before we get started, I want to go over a few things that I have planned, but first, I know I said there was going to be 2 videos last week. However, there really wasn't anything that crossed my desk to warrant another video. Terran Federation, Pantheon, and the QC had a few skirmishes as well as trading shield timers, but that was about it. Okay, I'm starting a giveaway here at the front in the form of free dual Omega combos. You've been hearing me say send me your kill mails for a while. Now, the biggest solo kill of the week will now win a free Omega clone combo. Now, the rules are simple, and that you just can't win more than once in a given 30-day period, and it has to be a legit kill. So get out there, find yourself some big prey, and send me those kill mails. We had our weekly patch, and there's a lot to dissect, so let's jump right in. The time limit for T7 Plus news missions has been bumped up to 6 hours. This, in conjunction with the new warp speed buff to low sec and high sec, should get you finishing those missions in record time. You can now receive private chat notifications while you're in your Citadel. They added a status display that appears when a contract has ended. They fixed an issue where NPC pirates had too many of the same type modules fitted. So no more NPC rats having their entire midsection filled with scrams. They fixed the issue where the bill of Alliance maintenance wouldn't transfer to the new corporation after the Executor Corporation has changed. The global order limits of the market has been adjusted from 1 billion to 99 billion. Shield force field does not take damage after shield reaching 0. You can now auto-skip the login opening cutscene, thank God for that. They improved the client performance by lowering the group special effects resolution in the lower graphics quality. They optimized the contract UI. Best change ever. Self-destruction has been added to capsules. No longer can you just be sit there held in your pod or somewhere out in space, no, begging someone to pod you for that quick trip home. You can now just self-destruct and get the pod express home. They improved the reconnection process when using navigation, reducing their time lost. Guest accounts can no longer share a contract. Players with a guest account must link their accounts to continue sharing. After resetting the resource extraction skill, it's no longer possible to extend the mining time if there are too many mining arrays. They adjusted the display of debuffs on the main screen. They improved the patch notes screen display. You can actually read it now and not need a magnifying glass. An icon indicating protection received by just leaving a station is now displayed. When you leave a station now and you're under that 60-second timer where you're invulnerable, you don't actually get the same kind of icon that you get when you jump into a new system, where it shows that little clock counting down when you're cloaked. A push reminder added for expiring Omega clones. So now not only will we be getting those annoying emails every day the week leading up to when your clone expires, you'll now get push notifications as well. They added slot fitting descriptions in the ship tutorial tip section. The data core icons have been changed. Each of them now has a different unique look. It's nothing huge, but it's nice to quickly identify them now. They optimized the visual icon effects of objects in space. Now, they also went ahead and fixed a few things as well. Probably not everything that we want them to fix, but here's the 4 things that they fixed with this patch. They fixed an issue where it was possible to reset drone attack timers by tapping the drone button rapidly. They fixed an issue where a corporation name card couldn't be shared in chat sometimes. They fixed an issue where changing the language would occasionally cause the corporation channel to disappear. And they fixed an issue with the incorrect autopilot status display. Sov is finally so close that we can taste it. Well, at least get a taste of it via the new test server. The Sovereignty test server is now currently up and running, and we finally get to see exactly how Sov is going to work, because they are actually seeding these Corp Citadels for purchase. Now, there are some perks to joining this test server, which we're going to lay out. 1. Players who join the test, regardless of anything else, will earn themselves 20,000 skill points on the live server, just for participating. 2. If you participate in the destruction of a Corp Citadel, you'll earn an extra 100,000 skill points on the live server. So you can earn yourself up to a total of 120,000 skill points on your character for helping with this test. Now, they aren't expecting you to start with nothing. All characters that join the test server will be provided with an additional 10,000 Plex, 200 million ISK, and 20 million skill points. Now, they did change some things up because this is the test server. The Citadels themselves have been sped up. It will now only take 1 hour to anchor station and only 5 minutes for each repair time. In essence, you can launch and kill a station in under 2 hours. I tried early enough to get on and then stared at this screen for quite some time. Eventually, they did get that login server fixed and I was able to take a look around. There's a new filter on your star map for Sovereignty and you can see how it fills everything in. Now, of course, this currently still is in the works and it's a little wonky. The Sov map shows the Sovereign Corps, and if you have enough corps within the same alliance claiming systems, then that region will display as your alliance. Let's look at the stats of both of these. The Corp Station has twice the amount of EHP that an outpost has, and when killed is worth around 12 billion ISK. Here is the blueprint for the station, and this is viewing it through a character that has 0 indie skills on structure manufacturing. There have been some complaints about this station, to the fact that it takes the same amount of people, the same amount of time to destroy it as assaulting an outpost would. Yes, they do have double the amount of hit points, but they've raised the damage cap to 2k as opposed to the 1k DPS cap on a regular outpost. This feels the same as killing one of those regular outposts. It's minimal effort with minimal fleets. I do realize that this is a test and it could not be the final product, but I assumed we would see close to the final project with this feature due to release in the next few weeks. The other complaint is that these cost an insane amount of resources to build and they only claim one system and not the entire constellation. Either way, I'm looking forward to how they will improve this moving forward. Okay, since we're talking test servers, there has been some community turmoil in finding out that the content creators have access to a separate server with GM powers. This server was created so that the content creators can produce information about ships, fits, modules throughout the game to bring more publicity to the game as well as inform the community. This server has no bearing on the live server and we don't have access to anything that is not in the live files. In other words, we cannot gain info on Sovereignty or Exploration since they are not currently in the game. This server is a snapshot of the live current server, and yes, the Sisters of Eve and the Murderous Legion ships are in the game files, but no current way to access them on the live server. But as content creators, we can test them out and give videos on them. Yours truly has found another use for this test server though. I'm putting together the first content creator tournament. That's right, your favorite content creators going head to head in a bracket style tournament, but with a twist. You pick the ship class. That's right, I want you to put in the comments what class of ship you want us to use against each other. There are some rules though. We can only use ships that could be obtainable by a player on the live server. So no flying Concord ships with gate guns. We can only use C-type or lower modules and Tech 3 rigs. And before you select the class of ship, let me just get this out of the way. A pod is not an optional choice. Bugs. We get them every patch, and boy did we get some major screw-ups with this one. From autopilot depositing you in a system not even on your chosen path, to the whole cog screw-up. Now if you're wondering what these cogs are, they're purchasable skills that permanently increase your skill point gain. These appeared in the game briefly for purchase, and long story short, they were not supposed to be there. They are correcting this issue in the next maintenance and will be issuing skill points to everyone to make up the difference between those that took advantage of it and those that did not. We have the market delayed again by these bugs, as well as several systems that needed to be restarted. Drones are also acting screwy with not hitting targets and you having to scoop them up and relaunch them. Basically, using drones is a crapshoot. Also, a little fun costly bug, some stations are charging hourly instead of weekly for that rental cost for the station office. Remember those good old days when Plex cost around $750,000 about a week ago? Well, Plex hit an all-time high this week at $1 million per Plex. It has come down slightly and is now being traded between $920,000 and $950,000 each. We have also seen a massive price spike in rigs, some by 100 to 300%. C-type mods are also starting to climb back up as well. RevDeuce, myself, and a few other news content creators started a project over a month ago called the A.N.N, the Allied News Network. However, due to commitments and such, this has fallen to the wayside and is currently dead. But from those ashes, I am renewing the old A.N.N moniker, Echoes News Network. It's based off the same principles as the now defunct A.N.N, but with a few engaging twists. The news will be able to be viewed by all. No more posting news and then waiting to see if it makes it to your favorite news outlets. PR reps from alliances will post their news and then it can be seen by all and discussed in a separate channel. This should act as a great way for the community to get involved and have debates and discussions on what's going around across New Eden. Stay tuned for updates. I'm hoping to have this Discord server up and running before the end of the month. The Silent Alliance had some corp issues this week. First, with the removal of Gilligas from Pandemic leadership, and then the Corp and Alliance. I'm not going to get into all the drama behind this, but let's just say this was the catalyst for a chain of events that followed. Let's sidestep this Gilligas part and put a pin in it. Obsidian Elite was removed from Silent Alliance and set to red. I did a story on Roll and Obsidian 2 weeks ago, and I'm not about to rehash that, but it plays into why Obsidian is now red to Silent Alliance. After Roll had left Obsidian, they were set to red by Fish, and they joined the Golden Horde Alliance. Golden Horde, Genesis, and Silent Alliance are all in a bot-fighting coalition together. So Golden Horde and Genesis are supposed to be blue to Silent Alliance, but with Roll set to red on the Corp level by Obsidian, Silent now had to deal with blue-on-blue fire complaints. I'm told this was a sticking point with Obsidian refusing to switch them to blue because of their past bad blood. Remember Gilligas? Let's bring him back into the picture. True Beast was removing him from Pandemic, said that he could go into any other corp in Silent Alliance because of all the hard work he had put in. Mr. Pay-to-Win had reached out about this and talked to the CEO of Pandemic, and True Beast said as long as Gil didn't go off on social media about everything that had happened, he had no issue with him going anywhere else. I'm told that Pay talked to Gil about this and made him the offer. However, Gil was done wrong and wanted his story told. After many a Reddit thread, that bridge was now burned. Obsidian decided they would take him in regardless of what Mr. Pay-to-Win had to say about him not being allowed in the Alliance, and this was the final straw in his eyes. Roles were removed, OBS was kicked out, and then set to red. Recently, Tahini, the CEO of PEW and a FC within Silent Alliance, has pulled his corp out of the Alliance and left. PEW is now set to red by Silent after allegations of corp and member poaching arose. I contacted both Pay-to-Win and Tahini to get official statements. Tahini states, "We took a week or two to think as a corp, and nobody wants to do the whole sob thing. Our corp never attends CTAs because they're a small gang, PvP experts, and solo pirates." Mr. Pay-to-Win states, "I wish PEW the best in their new endeavor. PEW has always been a small pirate corp. I'm happy that they are able to play the game the way they want to play it. From SHH, we have several new FCs who will be taking charge, some of whom are absolutely remarkable. I'm excited to fly alongside these FCs so Silent can do what Silent does best, large-scale EVE warfare." Silent had also lost a station earlier in this week in the system UEJX Tech G. This was a raid-held outpost that got swarmed by 850 ships against the 135 Defense Force. The attacking forces were made up of FF, DSSL, Honk, and Nomad Vendetta. Honk had a barbecue this past week. Okay, what they really did was a test, and I'm told a ritual sacrifice. They want to know how close to a gate you can anchor a station, so they anchored 150 km off the gate. With the announcement of the SOV test server, they decided to release the unanchoring window to see who would come blow it up. Various look-arounds rolled through to take a peek, but the two entities that came in force was the Silent Alliance in a 60-plus fleet and SOL out of Syndicate. As they were floating near the station, the 30-ship Honk fleet warped in and started to attack, scattering some of these ships to the sun. However, the sun would hold no safe harbor, as Badran from Syndicate was waiting, picking off ships that landed there. Back on the station, Honk, SHH, and SOL was having a sort of standoff while everyone attacked the station. The outpost exploded as everyone frantically searched for the kill mail, which has still not turned up. I am told by a Honk representative that the ritual was a hex upon Silent Alliance, with the outpost death being the final seal in that ritual. I stated earlier that the QC and Pantheon were skirmishing with Terran Federation last week, repeatedly trading shield timers with TF. The Terran Federation decided to go on the offensive, claiming 2 stations this week against Pantheon. That being said, one of those stations was the original station that was stolen by Pantheon 2 weeks ago, but they left the mammoth that they used in the heist logged out. Pantheon held a coalition meeting, followed by a CTA op to plant the station in 9-Tech VOOQ, inside Fountain, TF's backyard. Scouts followed the movement of this fleet as a defense CTA was issued for TF citizens as a fleet of 30 had formed up. Terran Federation's main fleet was busy inside Delve hitting a Pantheon shield timer, as Pantheon was also hitting TF's. Pantheon forces held the Terran home defense fleet down in one of their outpost systems via a gate camp. Pantheon logged on that mammoth and started making their way to VTech 9, while their main fleet withdrew to that VTech 9 gate to hold Terran forces at bay while they deployed the station. The main fleet reinforced the defense fleet and broke through the Pantheon gate camp as the 15-minute deploy timer started. TF fielded 80 to 90 in a fleet, while Pantheon fleet totaled 110 to 120. While engaged on the gate, 3 tornadoes broke ranks and burned to the station to attack and hold the timer with only 2 minutes remaining. The main fleets clashed, with Terran Federation inflicting more losses upon Pantheon. The fight moved to the station, where it was promptly destroyed as the remaining fleets returned their attention to each other. Terran Federation would take the field as the remaining Pantheon members scattered and safe-locked. This has been the first major clash between both forces in over 2 months, with both Pantheon and Terran Federation agreeing that it was a great fight and the most fun they have had in some time. Terran Federation a day later had also located and destroyed a Pantheon outpost as it was coming out of unanchoring, with a minimal defense force protecting it. Later in this week, the QC decided it would prove that they could do more than just hit shield timers, and set off with plans to destroy the Terran Federation outpost in 7 BIX. The QC fielded 200 ships with a matched fleet of 200 from the Terran Federation. On the way to their objective, they met their first roadblock in that 200-man defense fleet laying in wait on the 9-Tech VOOQ gate, where the QC lost a portion of their fleet to this camp. Still, the remainder of the fleet was able to burn out and hit their objective. QC was assaulting the outpost while Terran forces scrambled for a warping point. When both fleets were on grid, the game performed its lag and disconnect dance with most players. This battle was seen as a win for both sides, as the QC obtained their objective, but at a hefty cost. The Terran Federation had inflicted 25 billion ISK in losses to the QC for this armor timer. Both forces are in a collision course for this weekend, as the last timer will be up to protect. J Factor from the QC has prepared a statement about the current war with TF. QC was drawn into this confrontation by the actions of TF and their actions alone. We were perfectly happy just PvPing in the area and leaving citadels alone. But last week, they decided to hit our citadel, and the gloves came off. We have since been assaulting Mountain constantly with Happy Bees and Pantheon, and it is taking its toll, given that TF has reached out saying that they are tired forming for these timers. They have to call on other entities to help them clean up the mess they made diplomatically, even going so far as to post their intentions to utilize MC to help protect their Citadel hull in the far corner of Fountain. They have also made attempts to poach corporations, further increasing their appearance of desperation. Our battle last night was a call on their bluff. Seeing that all we could manage were shield timers, we mounted a full CTA between our two coalitions. Our first engagement at 9-Tech VOOQ was roughly 200 versus 200, and we came out even keel from their gate camp with a destination of the Citadel in mind at 7 BIX. We arrived on grid at the moment the Citadel armor became vulnerable. Our enemy had a chance to reship from their losses, however, and outnumbered us once arriving on the Citadel. Deeming any losses at this point a small tick in our armor, as we have the ISK to carry on for months, we continued our assault on the Citadel, finally bringing it to hull and withdrawing our remaining combined forces. The operation was a success, and TF were forced to eat their words. Terran Federation leadership states that this is a false narrative being peddled to its members. They claim that the QC pulled themselves into this war between Pantheon and Terran Federation by assisting Pantheon in the hitting of 4 outpost shield timers a week and a half ago. This act of Citadel aggression was met with an equal measure of force, and to cry victim after the fact is an act of cowardice and a distortion of the timeline. The footage you are seeing right now has been captured by Gengar, a member of Pantheon. A link to his channel will be within the description. As a side note, I have been expelled from the Pantheon Discord, claiming that my program is far too biased and not deemed trustworthy due to my close relationship with their enemy. This will not deter me from delivering the facts of this war currently in motion, even without official comment or statements from their side. With that, if you belong to any Null Alliance and have news that you would like shown on this program, reach out to me and I'll report it for you. Retribution Alliance has decided to become citizens and has joined forces under Terran Federation's banner. The Cloud Ring powerhouse is a welcome addition to TF. The Dark Star Alliance has joined under the OG banner, with the only sticking point being that OG had to write a love letter welcoming them. With this addition, there really is no force stopping them from claiming all of Wicked Creek, except a minor war with an alliance called Risk. The war in the south is now winding down between Death Phantom, Genesis, and the Bot Coalition. The biggest blow being a large chunk of the DP forces splintering off and starting another alliance called Bots, Beasts of the South. This new alliance is formed from Reki, Gulf, Void, and BR. They are working through a reconstruction and consolidation with plans to remain in Omsk as they sort out standings. I've been told that they have a diverse group fielding Indie, PvP, and PvE, and they're just pilots looking to enjoy the game. The November Death Report is out, and it looks like Frigs are the favorite ship to die in. In November, we saw an astounding 182 faction battleships lost this month. That's a lot of ISK. I mean, just look at this rattlesnake right here, and times that by 182. This graph was put together by New Eden News website, along with a lot more graphs from deaths to the most ore mined or sold. Go check them out, the link will be in the description. And that's our show. Even though the A.N.N is dead, please still go check out these other news outlets for your fill of Eve Echo's news. So remember, your enemy can never disrupt you from within a pod, but they can self-destruct now. Maybe I need a new closing tagline. What do you think? If you got something better, put it in the comments, and if I decide to use it, then you too will earn yourself a free Omega combo as well. Have a great weekend.